and you're listening to Communities Live on Sheffield Live Radio 93.2 FM with me, Susie Casson, and T-Boys in the kitchen. And we're joined in the studio by Rob Bell and Greg Slack from South Yorkshire Bat Group.
Hello.
Welcome, both of you. Sounds really interesting. So, Greg, can I ask you first, what kind of bats do we have here in South Yorkshire?
That's a good question. We've got all sorts of bats here. We've got common pipistrelles, soprano pipistrelles. They're the ones that you find quite often in they're the ones that you find normally in your garden and things like that. We've got brown long-eared bats that are a bit more sort of a woodland bat, and then we've got Delbentons. They're the ones that you find over water, and a few more. We've got quite a good range.
Yeah, lovely. So, Rob, can I ask you where are the best places to see bats in South Yorkshire?
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, locally around your house, obviously in the gardens and in parks, would be easy for most people to get to. There's also some particularly appealing locations. A good place in Sheffield, if people are around there, is Ecclesall Park, because we've got the pond, which is good for the water-loving Delbentons bat. You'd expect to see the two pipistrelle, the common and the soprano. You might even get to see some woodland bats like the brown long-eared bat, with perhaps some of the larger open flying bats like nocturnal flying above. If you get out of the town a little bit, obviously places like the Riverlyn Valley, any of the watercourses coming into Sheffield, the edges of the moors, you can have some nice semi-natural habitats that would be good. Or if you want to travel further afield, I mean, I personally live in Thurgoland, a little village at the northern end of Sheffield, west of Barnsley, and I can only recommend that as a great place to go see bats. There's some lovely sites around Doncaster. Really, wherever you live, if you get out in your local area to places with water and woodland, you can't go too far wrong.
Lovely. So, Greg, can I ask you, you mentioned it depends on the time of day and perhaps the season, whether you're going to actually spot any bats.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you're really looking for is nights which are nice and warm, times when you've not got any rain and fairly low levels of wind. And I mean, if you get out then and at dusk or just after, then you've got a really good chance of seeing bats.
Lovely. So, Rob, can you say a bit about the origins of the South Yorkshire Bat Group?
Yes, certainly. So the Bat Group's about 10 years old. It actually started in the early 2000s with just a couple of the current members. It was a small group of enthusiasts that just wanted to undertake some local surveys and some national bat monitoring surveys for the Bat Conservation Trust. It's never been a big group, and it's kind of ebbed and flowed over that period, but we're probably in a stronger position for members and activities now as we have been during our existence, really.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, I've only been involved. Well, I was involved about 10 years ago as well with South Yorkshire Bat Group, and then I moved away down to Devon. And I have to say, since I've moved back a couple of years back, we've got it's a lot more organised now. We're really good, strong group now with plenty of members and plenty going on as well.
Excellent. And what are your members like? Is it any particular age group or gender or everybody?
In terms of the gender mix, it's pretty even split. In terms of age group, we've probably got more sort of 20 to 40-year-old members, but we've got members across the whole age range. Not really any children, but people right up to, fairly elderly members. We've always attracted a lot of ecological consultants, which is the job that both myself and Greg do. So we're professionals in the field, and we all have our own reasons to get involved. But we have a lot of ecological consultants. The appealing thing now is we're actually getting quite a few more, what you would say, everyday members, which we'd love, because in the summertime we're really busy and we struggle to do anything, where other people can get out more and take us forward at that time of year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, lovely. So what are the main activities of the South Yorkshire Bat Group?
I mean, we've got a whole range of stuff that we get involved with. We do bat walks, and but that's sort of generally a summer thing. I mean, as we're coming up to winter, we check out sites where they hibernate, so they'll go into hibernation for during the cold months when the insects aren't available for them to eat. And we will be going to, I can't remember how many sites we've got, but sort of 3 or 4 sites we've got that we'll be having a look for the bats hibernating. And that's really nice because it gives you a chance to see them up close, and when they're sort of fairly still, and you can get a decent chance at IDing them.
Fantastic. So you provide care for injured bats as well. What does that entail exactly?
Yeah, so within our group we have a member called Karen Larkin who's assisted by another girl called Debbie Fieldsend. And basically what happens is when a bat's injured, maybe it's taken to the vet most often, but vets don't actually really have any capacity to deal with or rehabilitate bats. So it's a voluntary job these people do. They take it in, check the extent of the injuries. Obviously sometimes they're too far gone and they'll need to be put down. But quite a lot of the time, the bats can either be given some food and water and released that night, or you've got the sort of more medium-term, I was going to say repair job, but that's probably not the right use of words, a medium-term sort of care package that you need to give them, and then they could be released. It might be that they're kept over winter and released in the spring, or kept for a couple of weeks and released. But it's over 100 bats a year that are cared for in that way now.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And if anyone does find an injured bat, the best way to go about dealing with it is to if you Google the Bat Conservation Trust Bat Care Line, then there's a number you can ring, and they can organise someone to come out and pick it up and take it, have a look at it, check it over, and hopefully release it fairly soon. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. So what kind of injuries do they get? Is it sort of animals, cats and dogs and things?
Yeah, certainly a lot of the bats that come in will be caught by cats and cat injuries, which can be quite nasty really, because the cats quite often infect the bats when they catch them, and those bats will die some days later. You also just get grounded bats, which are young bats that have come out of the roost, not very competent at flying yet, land on the ground and can't take off again. And then at this time of year, it's the mating time for bats, so the males are quite charged up with testosterone, getting a little bit feisty and a little bit stupid as well. So you get quite a lot of grounded, angry male bats that just haven't been looking and have flown into a door or something of that type.
Sounds familiar. And you also conduct surveys of the bat population. What does that involve?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean we do various surveys for the National Bat Monitoring Programme. So we look at known roosts where we've been monitoring them for a few years, and and then we keep track of that and feed it into a national the national results for that. We do it at summer roosts, and our hibernation surveys that we do also feed into that. We also do other bits and pieces. So we've got a big swarming project going on at the moment, and that's specifically looking for mating bats. So we're catching them at known mating sites, and just trying to get an idea of the species mix there, and the gender breakdown, and that sort of thing. It's interesting there because you would get quite a lot more males than females, and the reason being that we think the males they go to these swarming sites, and they hang around for quite a long time and try and mate with as many females as they can, and the females obviously only need to go there once, so that's why you get that gender bias. But it's quite an interesting thing that we're doing at this time of year particularly. Yeah,
so still a lot to learn about the behaviour of bats.
Yes, certainly. So I mean, the thing is with this swarming behaviour, prior to perhaps 5 years ago, I'm not aware that anybody knew of swarming sites in South Yorkshire. So as a group, we identified some sites, and then there's again, as far as we know, it's the first concerted effort to trap bats anywhere in the county. We found these couple of locations, one sort of in a nice ancient woodland near Rotherham, and the other one near Conisbrough and Doncaster. And it's at sort of the entrance of natural features that you have these bats flying around in the depths of the night swarming. So I mean, it's only this year that we've learnt the numbers of bats using them, and it's looking like some of the sites we found are quite important really. It's also a great opportunity to try and find new bat species for the county. So I mean, that's been, if there's one thread through all our efforts this year, particularly mine and great sort of discussions early on, it was trying to find new bat species. So we've been looking particularly for the Brant's bat at the swarming sites. We've been looking for Nethusius pipistrelle in the spring, and then recently, excitingly, Derbyshire Bat Group found Barbastelle bat at Cresswell Crags. So that's very near South Yorkshire, just a few miles away. So we've been hoping to maybe find that. But so far, we've got a possible on a Brandt's bat, but we need to. It's quite difficult, so you need to do some DNA analysis of drop-ins and what have you. So hopefully by the end of the year, we might know for certain what we've found. But that's what drives you as you go looking for these things. Then you find all sorts of other interesting information pertaining to whether it's swarming bats or bat use of summer roosts and things like this. So. Yeah, there is a lot still to be known, more than we'd like, really.
Fantastic. And you also go on bat walks?
Yeah, certainly. So we maybe do 3 or 4 bat walks a year, more when we're asked to do them. So, for example, a walk we've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years now is Hyde Park Cemetery in Doncaster, which is a really nice walk. It's a cemetery looked after by a Friends of group who have quite a lot of members, and it's something that really attracts people to the cemetery to walk around and appreciate for the nice place that it is. And we do sometimes bat walks with clubs or other local groups, but it tends to be where we're invited to run one. We did one at Oldmore as well, the RSPB Reserve, which is a place we've done quite a lot of work with this year.
Fantastic. So, Greg, I was going to ask you, what do you enjoy most about being part of the South Yorkshire Bat Group?
Well, that's good. It's a good question. I mean, I love just getting out there and learning more about bats because, I mean, I've been doing this sort of stuff for 10 years, but there's still more to learn and still tons to sort of to do. So, I mean, I love doing the stuff that we do and also chatting to the other Bat Group members. We've got some great people in the Bat Group and everyone's really friendly, so it's just a nice chance to meet up with friends, people who are as enthusiastic about bats as me.
Yeah, lovely. And Rob, what do you enjoy most about being part of the South Yorkshire Bat Group?
Yeah, so I think for myself primarily it's the opportunity to follow your wishes in a sense. So, I mean, like as Greg does, I work with bats on a day-to-day basis, and you're obliged to survey the areas that you're paid to go and survey, essentially. But in your spare time with the Bat Group, you can, if you think of somewhere and you think that could be amazing, you can just go and do it. And it's all your efforts are focused on the primary objective of surveying the bats, finding out what's there, maybe finding something really interesting, as opposed to the fringe parts that come along with work. So it's the freedom of it, I suppose, more than anything else.
Yeah, sounds lovely. So it's open to anyone to join.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Everyone's welcome to come along.
Yeah.
I mean, we're fairly easy to find. You can just sort of search for South Yorkshire Bat Group on Facebook or do a search on Google or what have you, and bring up our website, and then all the contact details are on there. If anyone does want to join, then we'd love to have them along.
Yeah, lovely. And is there a membership fee involved?
Yeah, so there's a membership fee of £10 for working people and £5 reduced for non-working and people still in study and this kind of thing. And if somebody really wanted to come along on a visit first, before becoming a member, I should imagine we could. Yeah, try before you buy. I should imagine we could accommodate that. It's more a token membership charge, really, just so we can keep track on who our members are, and we're not, spamming people that don't want to be involved anymore in this sort of thing.
Ah, sounds wonderful. Thanks for coming on. So that's the South Yorkshire Bat Group, and the easiest thing is just to Google it, look on Facebook. Yeah, Google in to find the website where you can find the membership join-in forms. But if you want to see what we do, then we have a Facebook page, which obviously you can like for free, and you can see pictures of the bat care that goes on, a flavour of what we do, and you can see the group in action. So definitely encourage anybody who's just curious, even just have a look at the Facebook page and you can see